It's mind-blowing.
It's so bananas. Like, even being healthy, fitness, they're connecting fitness with a right-wing idea.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So, Doc, to your point about what we can agree on, I think most of us can agree that we should be healthy. We should have better ingredients in our food and know where our food is coming from, and clean grass or clean water and green grass, as you said. J.D. Vance went on Joe Rogan's podcast and they talked about that.
well, they're also inviting. So one of the weirdest things is if you are on the wrong side of their ideology, like if you're aligned with Trump, like RFK Jr. is, now all of a sudden I've seen like people on the left that are trying to dismiss a lot of the things that he says about additives in food, about atrazine, fluoride in the water, all these different things, because now they're connecting not having toxins in your food with a right-wing idea.
It's crazy. It's mind-blowing.
It's so bananas. Like, even being healthy, fitness, they're connecting fitness with a right-wing idea.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, and it raises one of my sort of core political beliefs is that our politics is focused on fake and distractions to distract us from the real stuff, right? And
Yes.
so if I'm looking at the environmental movement in the United States of America, and I don't even have like strong views on what the carbon footprint ultimately does. I'm sort of skeptical of the experts here, but I'm also skeptical of, the other side. I just don't really know what I think about this. I think it's insane to try to eliminate fossil fuels. That's kind of a belief that I have. But it's interesting that the environmental movement in America, the only thing that it talks about is the carbon footprint. And it never talks about like, oh, why do we have the highest rates of obesity in the world right now? Right? Why is it that American kids spend less time outdoors in nature than they ever have in the history of our 250-year civilization? There's this weird way in which we get distracted by the fake stuff instead of focusing on the real stuff. And I think there is a really very important environmental conversation to be had. It was interesting when one of the first things that happened when I was a senator is you had this terrible train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Got a lot of headlines. And it was a mistake at the time that wasn't obvious. They basically set off a few of the chemical cars, which, I mean, if you see the images, it looks like a nuclear bomb went off in East Palestine, Ohio. But it's putting vinyl chloride and all these other pollutants into the water, into the air, into the soil. And it was amazing. The environmental movement almost could not have cared less about a chemical explosion in rural Ohio that is potentially poisoning thousands of people, but they were really, really concerned about the carbon footprint of those same people. I'm sick of the distraction. I think we should focus on the real stuff. And unfortunately, it's true of the environmental policy, but it's true of a lot of other stuff. We just don't talk about the real thing.